Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set, cocked, locked, blissed? Dr. Shealy, are you blissed?
Yes.
Yeah, that is no, I'm so glad. Jason, thank you for engineering the broadcast. Jason, there is no need to make a concession speech for your run for the president, JasonStanek2020.com, because no one else has. And here we are. Here we are in the United States of America, and the media seems to be in charge, and they make the declarations of who the selected person is. Kind of outrageous, isn't it? Kind of outrageous. And who elected them, you know? So, here we are. Dr. Shealy, I believe probably about half of Americans have a stomachache right now after hearing the media declare that Jumpin' Joe, the plagiarist, the Biden syndicate has won the selection. What do we do about it?
As usual, the media sucks, and I can't say what else.
Yeah, and you know, I was looking at an image of some of the pro-President Trump protesters in some of the cities, and there's one of these guys, and he has an AR-15. And he's got it's strapped to him, and you can see the magazine. Now, typically a magazine for an AR-15 would be maybe 30 rounds. Well, this particular guy who they took the image of and put it on the internet has a drum magazine. Now, I don't have one of those. I've seen them at gun shows, and they are close to 100 rounds. And you can see through part of this drum magazine. So it's a high capacity, very high capacity. And this particular drum magazine, when you can look through some of the slots in it, you can see how many cartridges are left. And you can see that they are not blanks. They are live rounds. So here we have, and we talked about this, protesters. The shots haven't really been fired in anger yet, but the potential for it is right there. Live rounds, high capacity magazine on this one particular guy. Other guys have 30-round magazines, which is more typical for an AR-15. And then they have these vests on that have multiple magazines in them. So we're looking at 4 magazines times 30, 120 rounds plus one in the rifle. That's 120 plus 30. That's 150 rounds. That is typically what you're seeing. People carry. Yeah. And you know, some of these, you can buy an AR-15 that is semi-automatic, meaning you squeeze the trigger once and it goes bang once. There are select fire that you can get that you squeeze the trigger once and it goes off 3 times. And then there's another option, you squeeze the trigger once and it keeps going till you let go of the trigger. That would be full automatic. That's like a machine gun. So, or, you know, a small machine gun, a submachine gun. So here we are, and people are angry, and people are elated. There are people dancing in the street that we have elected a stumblebum. A stumblebum. If you don't know what that word means, spend the 30 seconds and look it up. Stumblebum. A stumblebum has been selected by the media as the winner of the contest. I can't imagine it being worse. Well, maybe Hillary. But this guy, Dr. Shealy, this guy he's putting together his cabinet. His cabinet is the old cronies. It's the old guard. It's the old problem causers. I can't believe it.
May I read a few of the other words of stumblebum?
Sure.
A lout, bore, barbarian, Neanderthal, churl, clown, gawk, hulk, bumpkin, yokel, fool, dolt, dullard, bosthoon, idiot, imbecile, half-wit, cretin, jackass, goon, jerk, yahoo, ape, gorilla, baboon, bear, lump, clodhopper, clod, butthead, meathead, and more.
Yeah, and
that is a brief summary of Joe Biden.
Yeah, he's a stumblebum. And there's another word or another catchphrase, if you want to say that, use that term to describe what a stumblebum is, and that's second rate. Second rate.
I would give him a billionth rate.
Yeah. Below par. Now, class, here's something that you may not have heard, but I heard this. I literally heard the stumblebum say this many years ago, and he was addressing some Zionists. He was on stage, and I'm going to paraphrase what he said because I don't have it in front of me, and I'll bet you can't even find this anymore. But he was addressing some Zionists, and it went something like this. Hey, look, I'm one of you guys. I'm a Zionist. I'm one of you. That's what he was conveying to the group, that he's a Zionist. So we have a guy who reads the Bible, professes to be a Catholic, goes to a Catholic church on Sundays regularly, and says he's a Zionist. Which Zionism professes allegiance to another group of people other than the United States of America. And yet, he was selected by the media and by a whole bunch of ignorant Americans to be the CEO of the corporation. I'd like to say I'm stunned. I guess I'm not stunned. We've been talking about how dumb people are. And here's what the poster used to say. Well, I had a poster. And it said, never underestimate the power of stupid people in large numbers. And that's where we are. Stupid people in large numbers. And the stupid people are being led by the nose by the media, who has an agenda. It's stunning to me in some ways. And what do we do? So if you had a friend who proudly had one of those Biden stickers on his front lawn or her front lawn, are they your friends anymore? Where do you see what happens next? What happens next, right? Kamala Harris, who may end up being president, is a gun grabber. She wants gun registration. Joe, the plagiarist, wants to open the borders and let more aliens in. More. We need more people in this country. We don't have enough problems. I don't expect things to get better. Not anytime soon. I really don't. And just to put a little tiny speck of an exclamation point on this, if you want to buy toilet paper today at Aldi, if they have it, you can buy it. One package. If you want to buy, and that would be per visit. If you wanted to buy a package of toilet paper from Sam's Club, like Scott's single ply, 36 rolls, $25, you can buy one if they have it. One. And then if you decide that you want to buy another one, comes up and tells you, no can do. You already got yours. So we are living now in the beginnings of what happened during the first Great Depression. Rationing with ration coupons. Now the coupons are electronic. They already know what you got. because you bought it on the internet. They know. So good luck trying to get another one. Back in the first Great Depression, you had a coupon booklet, and they'd say in this coupon booklet you could have sugar as long as you didn't use the coupon already. And you could have a pound of meat as long as you didn't use the coupon. And you could buy a tire as long as you didn't use the coupon. And flour, and so forth. That's what happened during the first Great Depression. That is where we are beginning right now. It started. Dr. Shealy, any comments?
Well, it ain't over till it's over. And I hope the over is a total reversal by 50 electoral votes in the opposite direction.
Yeah. And what does it mean to a guy like Dr. Shealy? What does it mean to a guy like me? Well, let me give you an example. So during the Obama regime, we weren't allowed to modify our creeks. Okay, so if you have a creek and you decide that, you know what, it would be really nice to have a little deeper spot right over here, and the cows could just walk over and drink from maybe 2 feet deep instead of 1 inch deep, and just collect the water in a pool in your creek. Well, you couldn't do that during the Obama regime. That was all removed as a restriction by the President Trump administration. So if we go back to the Obama era, because, Jumpin' Joe is going to need some kind of a template to play by, because obviously he's using the same players as Obama, we're probably going to go back to the same methods, the same restrictions as during the Obama regime. And whoever thought that would have lasted 8 years? Can you imagine 8 years of another Obama regime? Can you imagine that? Gosh. Any comments, Dr. Shealy? I've got some medical questions.
Well, let's face it, I can't think of one thing that took place in the Obama administration that was good for the country or the world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was an experiment. Class, if you'd like to call in, you're certainly welcome to. Please stay on topic. And the call-in number is 866-582-9933, 866-582-9933. We've got medical doctor, Dr. Norman Shealy, with us. Dr. Shealy, I was reading a study, and quite fascinating. And it says that people who regularly eat hot peppers, chili peppers, for example, live longer. And the study indicates that that 26% relative reduction in cardiovascular mortality as a result of eating hot peppers. 23% relative reduction in cancer mortality. And 25% relative reduction in all causes of mortality. Quite interesting. When we come back, let's talk a little bit more about that, your thoughts. And David in Illinois is on the line. And we'll bring David in right after these few short commercial announcements. And I mentioned red peppers. Let's put David on first, and then we'll go back to chili peppers. Welcome, David.
Hey, how you doing? I hope you're not mad if I go back a little bit.
Go ahead.
Okay. Now I don't know. I do. I always get a lot of information. Now the truckers are talking about going on strike as of November 29th. And they're also talking about another driving situation on the 11th. But the truckers all over and owners of these large truck companies, they were posting and saying if at the meetings if they say they're not going to drive, they can guarantee there will be no trucks driving off their lots. And this one owner, their family owns some of the largest companies that transfer fuel. And they said, wait until you see what happens when you get no gas.
So, David, all right, so do you have confidence in what you just said? Do you think that there is a likelihood that the truckers really are going to stop driving on the 29th of November? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, yeah. And there's even brokers, they have brokers that usually arrange a ride, pickups for them. There's been a lot of brokers getting hit, want to know why. Well, why are you going to? You're not going to support this. They're like, we've seen what you people done and the way you treated them during this whole virus, and they said, no, we are exactly going to. We will not be setting up no rides if they go on strike or if they stop driving.
So, David, I want to make sure that we're really clear on this. So we're talking about independent truck drivers, not the guys who drive for Walmart and the guys who drive for, the major companies like Snyder and Prime and companies like that. We're talking about the independent guys, right?
Yeah, these people, some of these said they have one owner said between them and another relative, the two of them, they have a little under 600 trucks, but they're all fuel trucks. They said not one will go off their lot, their lots. And I guess the truckers have been getting hit pretty hard, and they've been treated pretty bad. So I see there's that, but there's also been a threat in the past where if these people get the Green New Deal, they want to put all those truckers out of business. So they're not just fighting for their. Sorry.
So what is the driving force for the work stoppage by the independent truck drivers? Is it they don't like the treatment that they've received by the people, that they've been thrown out of restaurants or barred from going into restaurants along their travels from stop to stop? Is it that they don't like the reception that the villagers are giving them? Is it that they don't like the selection that's been made for the president? What is it? Or is it all of it?
It actually, it's all of it. Now, they sat there and said Trump was the first president that stuck up for them, and they're going to stick up for him. So there's that part, but I didn't get to know about the rest until they were going down the whole list of the way they were treated. I mean, some of these people had to bring things. They weren't even allowed to go in and use restrooms when they were stopping. And that's kind of sad,
Yeah. Well, class, if you think about that, what would these guys do, that's what they have to do. And you may not think about this, but, the guys who drive locomotives, we'll talk about, train locomotives, they have to bring a portable toilet with them because they are on long hauls. And there's no stopping the train, to take a bathroom break. So they take a bag with them. They take a folding toilet with them, and they use their folding toilet. That's what happens.
Yeah, and some of these, the long haul couple drivers, we had family. I had a lot of family on on both of our sides that's been truckers and long haul truckers. And if they fill up so much, they get a free shower and things in them places at the stops. No, not anymore. Ain't nobody even letting them in their facility.
Yeah, what we're talking about is if you spend X dollars with Flying J or Pilot or, one of these truck stops, Loves, you get a free shower. You can get your laundry done there. You can take a break there. We'll be right back with Dr. Norm Shealy. Dr. Norm Shealy is with us. David's calling in from Illinois. And now, if you heard the news just a few minutes ago, not one of the 50 states has declared either candidate victorious. But the media has declared the stumblebum victorious. And the stumblebum made a victory speech. It's kind of like what happened at Syracuse University when the stumblebum was a law student. And he plagiarized another's work. Using another's work. That's what he did. David, you mentioned this November 29th. That's pretty close to now. What?
They were talking and mentioned, sorry, I'm sorry.
Can you extrapolate what that means?
Well, they're saying they're going to have now how long it goes or whatever they do. They're pretty ticked off from what the posts that I've seen, and I've been checking up on it. And now local truckers are saying we're not going to be affected. There's nothing we could do, but they're supporting the longer truck, the bigger guys. And they said they're going to support them. They're talking about shutting down and stopping. How long it goes, I don't know. The couple of the owners that I've seen, they specifically transport fuel trucks, and they have a lot of trucks, and apparently a big contract. And they said we could shut this. Just the two of us can pretty much put almost a shutdown of people getting gas. So I don't know. There's also something else. It was told to me that stores in our area, they were closing down and they were not selling any ammo or guns at all whatsoever. They had it all roped off. So I started checking all weekend to the suppliers that I go through. And they were told when they went to put their orders in for ammo and everything, they were denied as well. So they told customers that if you feel the need, you like to go shooting or target shooting, you may want to hold off. Keep whatever you got because they can't get anything.
Okay, let me put an exclamation point on what you just said. Back in the early 70s, when I was at the university, I had a roommate. And this particular roommate came back from summer vacation. And, we all got together and so how was, what'd you guys do over the summer? How was your summer? That kind of a thing. And this one particular roommate said that he was driving a truck, for extra money in upstate New York. And the first day on the job, the foreman came over to him and said, "Okay, here's your truck. You're going off today, first run of your new job, and take this with you." And it was a board, a small board, let's say 1 foot by 1 foot, just rough dimensions. And it had a big nail through the center of the board. And the foreman said, "Take this with you, and when you get out, at some distance, stop the truck and drive over this board. Nails pointy side up. You're going to have a flat tire. And it's okay because you're just going to you won't be driving for the rest of the day. You're just going to be sitting waiting." That was a trucker's action. Okay. That's what happened in the 70s when the truckers decided that they were going to strike against the company, the big company. So imagine that. So you've got a truckload of goods on the side of the road and you're waiting for a tire or a repair guy or a tow truck. Now to tow an 18-wheeler is a big deal. That's a big deal. So if what you're talking about comes to fruition, and if the truckers decide to just take action or not drive or get stuck, it's a really big deal because the inventory for Walmart is on the truck. They don't have the inventory. What's on the shelves that's it. There's no back room. The inventory is on its way. And if it's 3 days late, the shelves will be empty. And it's not just Walmart. It's all these chains. It's Target, and it's a whole bunch of other stores. Dr. Shealy, do you have any comments about this? This could be a big deal.
To me, it's all the result of the evil empire taking over the whole world. And every single problem that has occurred is not really accidental, in my opinion. It is the Committee of 300 now, almost in control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that means vitamins, minerals, supplements, bandages, Band-Aids, iodine.
Food.
Yes, I even seen a lot of posts from farmers that own their own trucks to deliver their products to market. They said they ain't going either. And they'll park them on their farms. They will not go. So we'll have to wait and see, I guess. Because I know we went to the store to try to get supplies. They didn't even have bleach. They didn't have bleach.
David, Dr. Shealy, let me share something with you. So we have, you all know that we have a farm, and I've mentioned that we have a tire machine and a balancer, and we mount and balance and repair tires here for the village. That's something that our son has expanded into. We don't do any advertising here. People just know about it, and they want to buy tires from us. They want them balanced from us. They want them repaired. Well, we buy tires from the largest, when I say we, I'm talking about the Finelli family, from the largest tire distributor, or the second largest tire distributor in the United States of America. So we buy tires from the same company that Big O and all these other big franchises buy their tires from. We literally do. Sometimes they can't get them to us. So what they do is they hire people to bring us tires in their personal vehicles. What I'm saying is you can start expecting that trucking companies are going to hire people with their own personal vehicles to make small deliveries all over town. That's what happens. It's already happening right now. And they'll pay a guy about $40 or $50 or $60 to drive to the farm with, a bunch of tires in his back seat. Passenger car tires. Truck tires won't fit in the back seat of a lot of these cars. But that's what's happening. And it has been happening. So, and if you buy a new tire and you don't have a valve stem, you can't make that tire work, even though it's a brand new tire. Without a good working valve stem, it's not going to work. Without wheel balancing weights, it's not going to work. I mean, you can go slowly with it. You can go 30 miles an hour with an unbalanced tire and wheel assembly, but not much faster than that. Dr. Shealy, I see this is going to be a mess. Do you see an extension in the medical field with supplies?
Well, actually, we don't need very many supplies except our IV vitamin C stuff, and that's been a problem ever since the beginning of the stupidemic, evilemic.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't use any other real supplies except certain supplements. Mm-hmm. And, of course, almost every single supplement that we regularly carry in our store has been delayed at times throughout the last 9 months when we go to replenish.
Do you have a supply of your youth formula and your essentials right now? If our class wants to order that, Dr. Shealy, to get prepared.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so
and
class,
we've got 2,000 new bottles on order, but who knows when they'll come.
Okay, class. So you can go to normshealy.com and you can buy the same supplements that I do, the youth formula and Dr. Shealy's essentials, and I suggest you do it. I really do. We keep it on hand here, and I go to Dr. Shealy's clinic and pick it up, or one of the family members does. Well, actually, in the good old days I used to, but now it'll be one of our family members. David, anything else you want to share with us?
Yes. When I started monitoring and researching about what these truckers were talking about doing, the obvious thing is, well, they'll just hire somebody else to drive the trucks. Okay, now, owners that own those companies said there's no way, well, they used harsher words. They said those trucks will not leave their facility. But other ones, I found a whole bunch, just time after time, of people with CDL licenses. And they talked about how hard it was to get these licenses. And they said, but if you think we're going to cross the truckers and take their jobs if they decide to do this, think again. And they said they will not do it. So.
Well, I can see the violence ensuing. So the replacement driver goes to the yard, picks up the tractor trailer and takes off with it, and leaves his personal vehicle in the parking lot while he's gone. You can all imagine what's going to happen next to that personal vehicle, or all those personal vehicles, when these guys cross the line. You can imagine. A war will have started. My mother worked for a college. And she worked in the president's office of a college and had a whole bunch of ladies there that worked in the president's area. And they did all kinds of things. My mom did statistical research. And so these ladies all knew each other. They came to work every day. They had lunch together. They're all friends and coworkers. Until one day, there was a strike. There was a strike by the teachers. But my mom was in administration. She was not a teacher. So they had like two groups. You were either administration or you were, teaching faculty. So the faculty struck and they blocked the entrance. There are two entrances to this college. There's like the front entrance and the back entrance. You can go in and out either way. And at first it was just, hey, support us, support us. Now my mom was told she had to go to work. Her friends who were in the same area were striking. And what did they do? They threw glass bottles, they broke glass at the entrances, the two entrances to the college. They threw nails down. They screamed at her. It was like they were friends one minute and they were enemies the next minute. And Dr. Shealy, you've met my mom. My mom was not very intimidating, right? And that's
she was a real thing.
And that's what happened. That's what happened. So what I'm trying to extrapolate from real life experiences that I've been part of, seen, related to, this is going to be terrible. It really is. So friends become enemies. David, any quick comments?
No, just good luck. See what happens. I'll let you guys go.
David, thank you for that report. Dr. Shealy and I will be right back. And if you'd like to call in, you certainly may if you have a medical question. 866-582-9933. Dr. Norm Shealy. That's Dr. Norm Shealy is with us. And before David mentioned the possibility of a trucker action, we were talking about chilies, hot chili peppers, and providing a significant benefit and in the prevention of 26% reduction in cardiovascular mortality, 23% reduction in cancer mortality, and 25% in overall cause mortality. Dr. Shealy, any truth in that? I got your email. Any truth in that?
As far as I could tell, there are numerous studies that show that same correlation, that somehow the hot spices, if you will, enhance health and longevity.
Okay. Now, do you think that would be continued through? Let me give you an example. Those little small bottles of pepper sauce. That'd be like cayenne pepper and vinegar.
I don't know. I think most of the studies are with the actual pepper itself. There may be studies, but you would have to look at the label and be sure there's a study on that particular extract, if you will, when you start buying it in a bottle.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, the reason I ask is our boys are not capable of buying the small size. They buy it literally. I'm not exaggerating. They'll buy that Frank's red pepper sauce in the half-gallon size, and they'll buy a couple of them, and so they'll decant them into a smaller container that'll fit in the refrigerator, and then they'll refrigerate the large container. But we eat a lot of red peppers and spicy peppers, and so it's good to know that that's a good thing. And I wonder if it has something to do with in Mexico, the Mexicans like a lot of spicy peppers, and I wonder if that has something to do with improving their digestive system because of the potential for contaminated pathogen-laden water. Do you think that the red peppers...
Well, there is some evidence, of course, that it does help the digestive system. And remember, some people call the small intestine the second brain because more biochemistry takes place there than in the rest of the body combined, practically.
Okay. And so how does the digestive system work, Dr. Shealy? So we start chewing. What happens there? What happens, in the stomach? What happens in the large intestine, small intestine? Can you give us
in the stomach, you begin the process primarily of digesting protein, the hydrochloric acid and the pepsin there. Then you get into the small intestine. There are all kinds of enzymes for protein, for sugar, for fat, and it takes the process almost as far as it will go until it gets into the colon, where actually by the time it gets to the colon, there's some final absorption of water, and at the very end of the colon, if you can absorb it, is magnesium, but very few actual nutrient absorptions of major importance take place after it enters the colon.
Okay, and it sounds to me, based on what I just heard you say, is that water is really, really important. And I imagine, I was thinking about this process, trying to make bread with not enough water. That's got to be a...
Well, water is second only to air, in a sense, in survival. We can survive longer without almost any food than we can with water, and certainly without air. And remember, fluoride is public murder. So the number 2 source of life itself, water, has been totally murdered by the government and the dental profession.
When you think about people with thyroid problems, Dr. Shealy, do you have a feel for what percentage of them have been forced into taking thyroid medications because of the fluoride in the water?
I would say conservatively 80+%.
So 80+% of people consumed city gin, meaning public water, without the knowledge that they were destroying their thyroid, which would put them on medication. What a racket. What a racket for the pharmacomafia.
Well, it even more important, I think, in survival is in men. The fertility rate has gone down from 150 million to 40 million, and when it gets to 20 million, we are totally infertile. So they poison the thyroid, they poison the reproductive system, they poison the pituitary. But other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, the play goes on.
Yep. And to think one of the reasons I was thrown off the big station in Springfield is because I kept giving out the phone number of the city manager because he was putting fluoride in the water. Did it for about 7 months until they got rid of me. We'll be right back, right after these top-of-the-hour commercials and news announcements. Dr. Norm Shealy's with us. I'm Vin Finelli. Yeah, I'm delighted to be broadcasting with my dear friend, Dr. Norm Shealy. We've been doing this for about 10 years now. And if you'd like to go to his website, normshealy.com, NORMSHEALY.com. Dr. Shealy, if we go to your website and sign up for your newsletter, we can get reminders about your weekly broadcast on KICK AM 1340 Springfield, right?
Exactly, as well as a free autogenic training and or 90 days to self-help.
Mm-hmm. There you go. So, class, I suggest that you go to normshealy.com. This is not a commercial. This is an endorsement. And you can learn about the broadcast. And you get a chance to see Dr. Shealy and Dr. Sergey Sorin live while they do the broadcast. There's a video of it, and they'll stream it. And you can see Dr. Shealy in action. And I think you'll be quite impressed. I'm sure you already are impressed, but you'll be even able to see him on camera, along with Dr. Sergey Sorin. Dr. Shealy, speaking of on camera, I watched the stumblebum on camera, and what I saw was him leaning in to the camera. He was focusing as best he could, it appeared to be. And his delivery was anything but extemporaneous, meaning it was not ad hoc. He was struggling to get the words out. His facial expression was unchanging. It was anything other than what you see with President Donald Trump. Just off-the-cuff remarks, able to walk up to the microphone, the cameras, and just start, without preparation. I'm talking about Jumpin' Joe Biden seems to be having a great deal of difficulty delivering a short couple of sentences. Is that just me, or have you seen this too? He has the appearance of...
Well, let's face it, he's got not early but moderate degenerative brain disease or Alzheimer's or some kind of loss of brain function, period, in report.
Mm-hmm. And
in other words, he's stupid, brain damaged.
And his wife is probably so proud of him that he was able to achieve being chosen by the media as the next president of the United States, while at the same time knowing that she's living in the house with this guy and he's not capable of making decisions. I mean, I can just say, all right, that's it, nuke him. Let's nuke him. Iran, let's get him. I meant Iraq. I'm sorry. I meant China.
Well,
can you imagine?
There's some country over there.
It's really, really dangerous.
And
it's
by
really
that woman who's maybe vice president could be more dangerous and worse than he is.
Yes. And if you trace back her family's heritage,
they owned slaves.
Yes.
Among other things.
They owned slaves. And, I think it's wonderful that black people are proud of black people. I think that's wonderful. And I think it's wonderful that the Irish are proud of the Irish and the Scottish and so forth. I think it's wonderful. But that doesn't mean that I would vote for John F. Kennedy to be president because he was a Catholic.
Or Irish.
I would want or Irish. And by the way, Jill Biden, is Italian. Yeah, her grandfather changed his name. And so she's Italian. You can look it up. I don't think they talk about that too much, but that's the truth. And so here we have, and so who is Biden? I mean, if you remove the layers of plastic surgery, you remove, those implants for the hair, take a look at some pictures of Joe Biden. He's been rebuilt. He has been rebuilt. And I think, it's nice to have your teeth fixed. But if you look, his teeth are not commensurate with his age. His hair is not the same as it was when he was younger. He has more hair. Now, I know it's possible to maybe grow a little bit of hair, but he's been rebuilt. He is not, if you stripped out the plastic surgery, I'll bet he would look a lot different from what he appears to be right now. Look that up, class, and see if I'm wrong, but I don't think so. I just hate being hoodwinked. I just hate being lied to. I just hate, and all these politicians, they all lie, and they all make promises that they can't keep. And so what should we do about it? Well, I think that any politician who has been selected for office, who does not deliver on campaign promises, should be hung for high crimes, misleading the people. That's a really strong statement I made. But that's what they do. They lie in this election. This election could be such a big theft. It could be the theft of almost an entire continent. Take out a little bit of Mexico, take out Canada, and what's left could have been stolen from us.
Well, it's in the process of being stolen at the moment.
That's what I mean. That's exactly what I'm saying. And what anger would people have if they figured out that their country has been stolen by the media? What repercussions would this have with ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, the New York Times, the LA Times?
They should all be hanged.
This is a really serious thing. These guys have all gotten together. If you go to any of the news on the internet, and you, ABC, CBS, NBC, and you read the stories, they're the same stories, with the same words, written by the same people. It's almost like it comes out of one place. And actually, the stories come out of multiple places, but they're played almost in the same order by all of the media outlets. So it's like, which smiling, talking head do you like the best? Which is the prettiest? Which is the most handsome? Which delivery do you like the best? But the content is so similar. And it's been like that probably starting around the 70s, maybe even the 60s that started. Didn't used to be that way. There was competition for better stories. But that has devolved into the same stories with different pictures, slightly different captions, slightly different headlines, but mostly the same words.
And the same lies.
Right. Right. Dr. Shealy, this is not the 1950s that I started to grow up in. This is something else. And we've said over and over and over, we can't trust any of the media. None of it. And we can't trust the government. And now we have corporations with heads of, like Mark Zuckerberg, rationing, filtering, and letting us know what is acceptable for them or by them for us to say. Free speech is gone. It's been filtered. And if you look at Jared Kushner and you look at Mark Zuckerberg, in some pictures they look like they're twins. No kidding. No kidding. You look at it, class. You look at Kushner and Zuckerberg, and you tell me that they don't look really, really similar, like they're the same family. And Kushner is the guy that's being blamed for the poor election, poor voter performance of Donald Trump. Took advice from an in-law. Bad mistake. Bad mistake. The president trusted people that he should never have trusted. Huge mistake. The guy is surrounded by liars, cheats, the deep state, fraud, deception, misrepresentation, and me first. Meaning them first. And now they're really worried. Now they're really worried. They might have sunk the ship. And America. And everyone else with them. So the question is, those people that have those Biden signs on their front yard, are you their friends?
Not one.
Not one. Not one. And that could be a binary cut. You can look at that and say, well, you know, if I see that guy with a flat tire with the Biden sign, I'll just kind of wave and smile and keep on going. Yep. I'm not helping him. I'm not helping anybody who is in the business of destroying our country. I'm not in the business of helping anyone who's done that. Nobody. Dr. Shealy, do you think I took it too far?
Not far enough.
Well, we're going to see how far this goes in the coming days, weeks, and months. I have referred to this guy as a stumblebum, and its definition: clumsy, second-rate, incompetent. Those are just some of the synonyms for stumblebum. Normally, I wouldn't do that. I didn't even call, Barry Soetoro those things. But this guy's beyond the pale. I mean, this guy is he went to Syracuse University. I have been to Syracuse University. I've stomped around there. I've been in the buildings. I've been lots of places. Syracuse University is a fairly good university. And he was a plagiarist at Syracuse University. Dr. Shealy, one of the things that I'd love to ask you about is there's been a report that 1/5, 20% of grocery store employees have been infected with COVID-19. And, of course, we don't know the real numbers. We don't even know if that's true. But let's assume that it could be true. And the reason I'm asking you this would be a medical transmission issue. If it were true that 1/5 of grocery store / supermarket employees were infected, and they didn't necessarily know it at the time, but they were working there and they were asymptomatic, and they were handling foods, are there certain foods that you would be concerned about buying if someone were actually 1/5 of the employees were infected? What I'm saying is, would fresh bread from the bakery at Walmart be of concern if there was a possibility that, the baker or the person who takes the bread out of the oven, puts it in the bags, fills the bags, because bread seems to be alive for a while? Would that be a concern? Would handling lettuce, avocados, onions, loose onions, carrots, things like that, ice cream in containers, would any of that be a concern to you? Medical question for Dr. Okay.
Every single bit of it.
Let's talk about that when we come back. That's Dr. Norm Shealy is with us, and seriously, if you're interested in getting two really key supplements that I take every day, as well as vitamin D3, the Youth Formula and Dr. Shealy's Essentials, I suggest you consider doing that while you still can. Now, we don't know if that trucker strike is going to happen or not. We don't know. But if you were thinking, well, I can get them like in a couple weeks. If you're going to get them in a couple weeks, why don't you just get them now? And that applies to everything. Dr. Shealy, I mentioned, do you have any comments about what I just said, Dr. Shealy?
No, you're right on. Obviously, even ordering from Amazon, often there are delays up for a month right now.
Mm-hmm. I mentioned 1/5 of supermarket / grocery store workers have been found to be infected with COVID-19, and I mentioned what food should we be concerned with. So, for example, bread, getting bread from the bakery at the Chinese factory outlet, even though you don't handle it, and even though they bring it out to your car, curbside delivery, etc. Bananas, whatever it might be. Dr. Shealy, what are your concerns about those people if they're infected?
Well,
and we don't even know if that's true.
I'm concerned especially about fresh vegetables and things like that. But even in a package, if they've touched the outside, it's still got a possibility of being contaminated.
Mm-hmm. Let me share with you, if I may, what we do here at the farmhouse, and I'd love to hear your comments. So, for example, class, when we get the mail, okay, it comes to the mailbox. It's delivered to our mailbox. The person getting it will wear gloves, and then the mail gets placed in the sun. Those we wear food service gloves. The mail gets, and the same with packages. Same when packages are delivered. They get placed in the sun and they get rotated on all sides, so we don't open our mail for several days after it's been in the sun. And same with food. When food is picked up, let's say curbside, it goes through a decontamination process with ultraviolet from the sun. So, for example, we have a station wagon. Yeah, actually, we have a station wagon, believe it or not. It's hard to believe that they still make station wagons, right? But we have one. It's an old one. It's about almost 20 years old. And it has one of these lift gates, and just lifts up, and you can pull it so that the lift gate faces the south, and the sun can disinfect the packages, the cans, the jars, bottles, jugs, etc. And when it comes to food, we're very careful what we buy. Now, if we were to buy something like lettuce, we would soak that in a dilute vinegar solution, white vinegar. So let's say maybe 10% vinegar, the rest filtered water, handle it with gloves, turn it, leave it in there 15, 20 minutes, and then we can handle it. Dr. Shealy, do you think those measures are too extreme? Do you think they're prudent. Unnecessary?
Prudent.
Okay. Meat. Okay. Some people buy chopped meat. Some people buy steaks. Some people buy, different cuts of meat. Those are handled by the people who work in those supermarkets and grocery stores. And there was no delineation whether it was 1/5 of, the meat cutters, the bakers, the store, shelf stockers. It was no delineation. So I'm going to have to assume that it's 1/5 of the whole. Okay. So 1 out of 5 guys that cut the meat, 1 out of 5 guys that run the bakery, 1 out of 5 guys that stock the shelves, 1 out of 5 that runs a conveyor belt to check out, 1 out of 5 that brings your groceries to your car, that kind of a thing. Meat. Is there a concern that you have with, we'll call it fresh meat from the refrigeration section of the supermarket?
Well, yeah, of course, because it's been touched by a butcher or someone who's similar to an old-fashioned butcher.
Mm-hmm. Okay. My grandmother, believe it or not, I thought, gosh, Grandma, why do you do this? She would literally, I'm talking the 1950s now, she would, if she bought a cut of meat from the A&P, Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company, she didn't buy ground meat. She bought the full piece of meat, and then she ground it herself if she was going to make hamburgers, because she wanted to see it. She wanted to see the whole thing and make sure she knew it was going into the ground meat. And before that, she would soak it in salt water to disinfect it, because she said, oh, those people are dirty. The people that handle meat, that's dirty. Dr. Norm Shealy is with us, and I was thinking about my grandmother, who I love dearly. And she used to literally take, a piece of meat that she bought, and she would not buy ground beef because she wanted to see what went into it, and she didn't want the scraps going in it. She wanted to know. So she would buy the whole piece, and she had her own grinder, and she hand crank grinder, and she would literally clamp that to the kitchen table. Lots of people have those hand crank grinders, and I still have her hand crank grinder. It's passed on to my mom and to me, and she would grind that meat, but she would soak it in a salt water solution to disinfect it, because she said those people are dirty. Now, she wasn't really picking on them. It just, there was a lot of filth in that room, and a lot of potential for pathogens in the butcher's area of the market. It's plain and simple. Potential was there for getting sick. And so she wanted to prevent that for her family. Dr. Shealy, any comments about soaking beef in salt water, or chicken? She washed chicken as well.
Well, no, I don't see any problem in it. Now, between ages 12 and 18, in the summer and on weekends, I worked in the butcher department at a grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
And we kept ourselves, I would say, amazingly clean.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that was 17
I don't think,
ago.
Yeah, I don't think she was referring to these people just being, filthy, by carelessness and recklessness. I think what she meant was, this is a dirty job, and there's lots of blood.
There's blood and stuff around.
Yeah. Right. And dried blood, and, potential for, yesterday's, apron being used today, things like that. So that's what she did. And so going back to the 1/5 being potentially infected at the supermarket/grocery store, that would extrapolate out to the drive-through. So people who go to McDonald's and Burger King and, the fast food joints, and they think, well, I'm not going in that restaurant. They can get sick going in the restaurant. So they go to the drive-through, but it's handled by, let's say, that same 1/5, 1 out of 5 people being potentially infected if you extrapolate out from the supermarkets to the fast food joints. Same thing, Dr. Shealy, would you be concerned, or would that be different?
Well, you couldn't pay me to go to a fast food restaurant since 1962 anyway. So.
Well, let's say, a person, not you, just loved going to McDonald's. Just had to do it. would you consider that there would be a risk by the food handlers?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So it seems to me that the French fries could have it on them from the factory, riding that, the frozen truck all the way to the restaurant, used tomorrow, put in it could have, COVID-19 on the French fries, but that'd be killed by the French fry fryer, the hot oil. But the guy handling it, taking the basket out of the fryer, putting it in those little bags, that guy could have it.
Yep.
Or the gal or guy who handles it next and puts it in your bag to go out the drive-through window could have it. Or the guy that says, how many ketchups did you say? 2 ketchup packets? No problem. The guy that handles that could have it. Or the guy who put the ketchup packets in the little tray there that they grab the ketchup packets from. So, I mean, there's a whole bunch of potential, at least in my eyes, for this. And of course, we don't go through drive-throughs. We don't go to restaurants. Why would we do that? Why not just cook at home, right? Dr. Shealy, do you have a feel for how long this virus could last on the bread, on the rolls, on the packaged,
No
bag?
way of knowing. I have the foggiest idea. I'm not even sure the virus exists.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, the CDC listed recently it didn't have a virus.
Yeah. Yeah, the pandemic is over. And yet it's not. It isn't. I mean, really, it's so confusing. How about this, Dr. Shealy? Well, the bottom line is prudence would say just avoid potential for getting it, right?
Well, it's interesting. I just looked it up. McDonald's franchises are more optimistic than they've been in years. As the other independent restaurants, 20% will close across America.
20%, that's
people
1
are
out of 5.
eating more of the junk than ever.
Yeah, and some people are wearing it really well. I mean, it's like it's like, look at me. I ate at McDonald's. I remember in the good old days, many years ago, I stopped at a truck stop that had one of those, McDonald's as part of it. And I happened to go through the door into this truck stop that was the McDonald's. And this kind of roly-poly young gal said to me, hey, welcome to McDonald's. I said, well, thank you. I said, how's the food here? She said, oh, it's great. I said, you eat here? Oh, yeah. And and there was a senior citizen next to me, and I said, wow, looks like you really enjoy it. And what I was saying it to her without saying is, boy, you're putting this stuff on. I mean, that hamburger is going right to your waistline. It's not stopping. It's going right there and staying there right next to the other hamburgers and French fries and other junk food that you've had. But no, I don't eat there. Dr. Shealy, I wanted to ask about medicine, if I may. So let's say a person goes to the doctors, not for the first time. And the doctor, and I'm not talking about Dr. Shealy, I'm talking about, medicine as, most people experience. Yeah. So the doctor says, listen, I'm going to put you on prescription A. I want you to take one of these 3 times a day, and you've got, 2 weeks worth, whatever it might be. It could be heart medicine. It could be antidepressant medicine. It could be anti-anxiety medicine, whatever it is. Okay. This is the first time the person's taking it. Do you think it's prudent for someone who is concerned about maybe an adverse reaction to whatever this medicine is to take less than the prescribed amount that the person is told to take, or follow doctor's directions? So what I'm saying is, let's say it's 1 tablet 3 times a day, whatever it may be. Would it be prudent to say, let's try a half of one if they are cuttable? I'm not talking about one that is, time release that you don't want to cut. But if you can cut it, and if it's, advisable to cut it, would it make sense to take less the first time just to see if there's an adverse reaction?
Do you know the statistics? The last time I looked it up, 60% of people do not take the prescribed amount.
Okay. Uh-huh.
I don't know why or exactly how much they take or don't take, but that's, somewhere between 60 and 70% of people do not follow instructions that well.
Okay. Now, do you think that's prudent for the first dosage, or do you think, or does it depend?
To some extent, it may depend on the seriousness of the illness, like with an antibiotic, for instance, I'm not sure it matters whether you try to cut it back, because it's going to affect your immune system and your intestines no matter what, but it can save your life if you have a certain kind of infection.
Mm-hmm. And some, I bought, I don't know why, but somebody was so eager to get rid of physician's desk reference, really thick manual on pills and medications and so forth, that it was for sale for $1 in the good old days at the Goodwill store. I saw it and I thought, I love buying books, especially old hardback books. I love buying those. And so there it was for $1, and if you read some of the complications, which I guess some people might call side effects, dizziness is one of them. Dizziness from taking an antibiotic. Huh. And then some antibiotics, you're told, don't take this with other medication. Now, how do we know that the physician...
Yes. You don't know. The doctor doesn't really know either. Right. So it's a really complex, complicated thing. And if you look at this physician's desk reference, it's thousands of pages. And it's not like, it's reading for it's not casual reading. It's complex, and you really have to pay attention. And so I guess, would you suggest that people be careful taking medication for the first time? Is that something that we can say? Be careful and notice any symptoms that you may have before and after. Did things change? And pay attention and drink lots of water. Lots of water with it. And what if a person has a reaction? Drink more water? Well, it depends, because your reaction might be vomiting or nausea, and I'm not sure that drinking more is not going to increase the vomiting in that situation.
Okay. Let's say a person does vomit, and of course, I don't know anyone who hasn't, at least, during his or her lifetime. And when I get in that situation, I want to rinse my mouth out, because I don't want to etch my teeth from the hydrochloric acid and so forth, and the acidity in the digestive system that just comes upward instead of going downward. Do you subscribe to that? Rinse, and make sure you get that out of it?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Even like to brush my teeth, if possible.
Yes. I had a question about, actually a bunch of questions. My dad used to love grapefruit juice. Loved it. I mean, it's probably his favorite juice. But I remember reading that, no, if you're on medication, don't take grapefruit juice, because it has a multiplier effect. So if you take, 1 tablet, whatever that medication is, it might multiply it, to the equivalent of 2, 3, or 4 tablets. Is that true, or is that just a rumor? Or
well, I think it depends on the prescription.
Mm-hmm. So if we wanted to err on the side of caution, would we say, if you don't know, don't take grapefruit juice at that time?
Absolutely, because it can particularly damage the kidneys or cause heartburn.
Okay, and what is heartburn? What are the symptoms, and what actually is it?
Well, it's a feeling of burning. It actually is in your upper, esophagus. So it feels as if it may be in the heart itself, but it's right in the center of the chest, all the way up sometimes, right up to your voice box. Okay.
In terms of juices, Dr. Shealy, I really like grapefruit juice. I haven't had it in quite a while. I like tomato juice. I like V8. If I have a V8, it would be with a couple splashes of, Frank's or Crystal pepper sauce, to spice it up, make it a little more hot, if you will. Do you have favorite juices that you like the taste of? Do you like the
my all-time favorite juice is actually apple juice.
Okay.
Just the taste, my favorite.
Mm-hmm. I love apple juice as well. And, if you can heat some up and put some, cinnamon in it, it's absolutely spectacular. Heat it in a pan with some cinnamon. That would be a stainless steel pan, not microwaved. But if you're going to have apple juice, class, I suggest you look around near the cap on the jar, and you might find in little letters that matches almost the color of the apple juice, "Make in China." Be careful. Be careful, be careful, because some apple juice is make in China. We'll be right back. So, class, what is worse than COVID-19? That would be Biden 20. Dr. Shealy, I've referred to Jumpin' Joe the plagiarist, who's a bona fide plagiarist. I mean, no question about it. You can look it up. You can type in Biden, plagiarism, bang. You'll find a whole bunch of results to prove that what I'm saying is true. I've been referring to him as the stumblebum. He is a guy who has prematurely declared that he is the next president of the United States. No state, not one of the 50 states has officially declared that he won that state, not one. And yet he and the media have taken it upon themselves to declare that he is to be the next president of the United States. I've referred to him as a stumblebum. Dr. Shealy, do you think I need to apologize for that?
No, I don't think you've been strong enough.
Class, I don't know if America really understands that not one state has said, he won the popular vote. Not one has declared that he's won the electoral votes. So here we have a condition where we may be in a constitutional crisis in the next few weeks. And, you know what? I am not willing to turn over the CEO position to someone who does not deserve it nor fairly won it. I am not. Any comments, Dr. Shealy? Because I have a couple other quick questions for you.
Well, I just hope the courts settle this equitably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Bursitis. Dr. Shealy, I remember I used to have a 1985 Chevrolet El Camino. And it's like half a truck and half a car. And it's a really neat little vehicle. Mine was a 1985, the last year they made it. I believe or close to the last year. And it was called an SS. It was black and silver. It was magnificent. I bought it used. And I gave it to a guy who saved my dad's life. My dad was in a car crash, and this guy really liked my El Camino. And I said, you know what? I really appreciate what your wife did in saving my dad's life. And here you go. Here's the El Camino. And that El Camino had steel guard door beams in it. And it was a 2-door. And the doors were larger than a 4-door car, and they were way heavier. And I'd close that door, and I'd pull my shoulder out of socket, not intentionally, but I'd pull my shoulder out of socket doing that. And I got bursitis. And I went to the local doctor in the village in Virginia, and he gave me a shot of, I believe, cortisone, fixed it right up. What is bursitis? Why do those shots work? And is there a workaround that does not include cortisone?
Well, first, second, third, it's an inflammation of the bursa, which is a covering around a joint. And every joint has some degree of that, but the major ones are the hips and the shoulders. Yes, there's another drug called Serapin. It's an extract from the pitcher plant, which is a very long-lasting and much safer local anesthetic than lidocaine.
Okay. And how do you spell that?
Sarapin.
Sarapin. Is this a topical kind of a thing?
No, it's an injection.
Okay.
Now, interestingly, it was demonstrated way back in the 60s that fluoride increases the risk of bursitis, among other things.
Wow. More damage.
At Mayo Clinic, they were recommending giving huge doses of sodium fluoride to make fractures heal faster. Mm-hmm. and it markedly increased the risk of bursitis.
So if a person has bursitis, Dr. Shealy, what do you recommend that he or she do?
Well, if it's bad enough, I would hope to get an injection of therapy.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Properly
and what
done,
if it's
very safe?
Okay. What if it's one of those, let's say it's a 2 or 3 out of 10 on the pain scale, and it seems, it comes and goes, but it seems to be going slowly. Just tough it out?
Well, then I would probably take aspirin or ibuprofen or one of those and use some heat or ice on it.
Okay. All right. I wanted to give you a small report on your PEMF device, of which I have. I got to tell you, Dr. Shealy, that I absolutely believe it works. Now, I had some inflammation in my chest, and so I just lie down and watch Combat, and for 15 minutes, and right after that, I could cough up some phlegm, and I'd feel so much better. So I just want to tell you that I think there's more studies that could be done on your PEMF device than have been done. I think it has more medical benefits than we know. That's just my layman's position. You think that's possible?
That we are about to investigate its ability to raise anandamide, the bliss hormone.
Very, very interesting. I'd love to hear more about that. Can we talk about that next week? When
Absolutely.
Dr. Shealy, I want to thank you for being with us. So many years.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shealy. And class, thanks for being with us. We'll be back tomorrow.